Okay, so Kim, 1 year into your term, you released an unprecedented, that word, it's been a long day, but I got it, amount of data on felonies brought to your office, and it resulted into you looking at the decisions that prosecutors were making. Can you explain to us what was the importance of that?
I think when you have a system, a criminal justice system like we have, a lot of laws and policy are made off an anecdote. I think we do this, or I heard we do this. And the decisions that we make are too important to not be able to see what you're actually doing. And so data is really important to me. I need to see, how are we using our dollars? How are we using our resources? And so, for example, when I came into office in 2016, it was a horribly bloody year in the city of Chicago. We had over 760 murders, 4,000 people shot. And when I looked at our data, what I found out was in that year, we weren't using our resources on guns or violence. The #1 referred prosecution was shoplifting.
Really?
Shoplifting.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because we have one of the lowest felony thresholds, or the amount that you could charge someone with a felony for shoplifting anywhere in the country.
Wow.
It's only $300.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, get you a felony. You can still be prosecuted for a misdemeanor, but our felony work was going towards shoplifting. And so it was important to me that if we were going to make policy changes, and we did, we said, listen, we're going to raise the threshold by which we charge people with felonies so that we can focus on gun crimes, that people have to see your work, right? I just believe that people should see your work. I'm a public official. I'm accountable. You need to see how and why I make the decisions I make.
Okay, so a prosecutor was called in to handle cases of police misconduct because some members said they don't trust your office. What are your thoughts of that?
I understand why people don't trust the system. There's been a long history before I got here of prosecutors not holding police officers accountable. And so the public's reluctance to believe that we're going to do that is real, right? It's not without merit. What I've said is, listen, I will review these cases, but because I know that the public has that distrust, if I choose not to charge an officer, I'm going to send it to a secondary review, the Illinois State Appellate Prosecutors Association, who will then review my work. And if they say, listen, we disagree, they can be appointed as a special prosecutor. But I want to point out, in my tenure, in the first 2 months I was in office, we charged 2 police officers with first-degree murder. In fact, one of those officers was just recently sentenced to 10 years after having been found guilty of second-degree murder. And so I believe you have to do the work. I mean, it's difficult. It wrinkles, ruffles a lot of feathers, but that is what we were elected to do.
Right.
And I think too, as people, we have to learn to be patient, because we expect as soon as you're in office, you need to hurry up and make it. And it's like, I'm fixing what was broken, or
Yeah, I appreciate that, because this is an institution, an office that has existed for over 100 years, and it has been broken for a significant amount of time. When I tell people, I just got there in 2016, right? It is just 2020.
Right.
And the fact that we've been able to, vacate 80 plus wrongful convictions, do this historic marijuana legalization, all these other initiatives, it's not the end. We're just scratching the surface, but patience is a virtue. Yeah, it's a virtue.
Okay, so do you think race plays a big part in prosecutions and in the political system?
Absolutely. I mean, this is a country that was, founded and built on white supremacy. And we can't be afraid to say that. It is what it is. And so its institutions and its constructs were built with that in mind. And, it's also why data was so important to me. Because it's one thing to say that. It's another thing to, look, are we prosecuting people for smoking marijuana at the same rates? I can tell you, blacks, whites, Latinos, all use marijuana at the same levels. And yet when you looked at who we were arresting and prosecuting, it was only black folks. And so it absolutely plays a role. And I don't think that you're going to do anything to fix it if you don't own it, if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't. Systemic racism is part of a system. It's baked in. But if you are like, oh, that's just a one-off, you're never going to do anything. And in politics, absolutely, there are very few people who look like me who do this job. There are about 2,400 elected prosecutors in this country, 2,400. there are about 18 black women who do it. 18. And so it's not that, we aren't impacted by the system. The numbers are just not there. 79% of elected prosecutors are white males. 16% are white women. And that leaves 5% left. Less than 1% are women of color. And so you find when you come into a space where you haven't been represented, that your presence is disruptive. And I've felt that disruption. And you just keep moving. You keep moving.
Wow. That's right. So being the first black female state's attorney and dealing with adversity, how do you keep a straight face when handling stress? Because I know as women, we can get emotional. You ready to throw something? How do you handle stress?
My grandmother was a good one to tell you to fix your face before you walk into a room. And, I've been in situations where I know that my facial expression will give it away. And sometimes what I've learned is your power is when people can't tell what you're thinking. Where they just, where you are able to, not even just a blank stare, just when you don't know, like, in my mind I'm wilding out, but I'm just going like, yes. And I call it, my husband jokes, I call it my Maury rule. If you've ever watched the old episode of Maury, there's always somebody on there who is just like going at it, going in. And they're getting angrier by the person that they're yelling at, who is like, that's just not my kid. It's not my kid. And they're just, and so I know that it probably angers people when I'm just like, it's not my kid. And so keeping my composure, keeping my, being the thermostat and not the temperature, like you're going to come to my level. I'm not going to yours. Allows me to keep it together.
Definitely. And when we watch you, because we watch you, we do that. We watch everything you do. We see that. We see the poise. You're not that stereotypical, oh, she about to go off because you professional and you doing your thing.
Someone's always got to be the adult in the room.
But that takes practice. Ooh, that facials.
It takes practice.
It does.
I got 4 teenage girls at home.
I got teenagers.
So you get it in before you even leave the door.
You got it. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to take a break. So plug your phone in because we have more information, exclusive information from Kim Fox.